Oh, Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Yes, Captain, my Captain, our Captain, Mr. Bo Horvat, leads the way to a 4-3 overtime victory yesterday afternoon against the St. Louis Blues, giving the Vancouver Canucks a 2-0 series lead over the St. Louis Blues. Welcome live on Facebook.com, the Hockey Podcast. My name is Kevin Olenek. You can follow me on Twitter at KEVOLE. You can follow the podcast, Hockey Podcast, at podcast_hockey. Subscribe on iTunes, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to got lots to talk about with the Vancouver Canucks. We've got Sean, who is back again. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Hello, Kevin. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. We get, to go do these all live because we don't have an actual job to go to, unlike some people, right, Tyler?
Yeah. That pesky day job can interfere with the podcasting interests.
Are you doing okay, though?
Oh, what a feeling, after that last night. I don't even know what to think right now about the Canucks. It's people have used the phrase house money to describe how, what they're working with right now. And that's great. It's dare to dream now in terms of, how far they can go.
True. We will dig into that. Chris, also one with day job. How are you?
I am well and glad to be back.
We're glad to have you. We miss you when you're not here, and we also miss Tyler when we're not here as well. I'm just getting something else set up here. Good Facebook Live, and as we go on here. But I'm going to give this the floor to Chris to kind of get his impressions of last night's game and kind of what he saw overall. Then we'll hear from Tyler, and then we'll hear from Sean.
Yeah, so mine's more of a...
In the comments, feel free to chat and comment. We will get to those as well.
Yeah, my experience was more of a surface level. I was watching at the pub and for the most part saw the highlights while watching it at the pub, engrossing conversation and whatnot. But that being said, what I did see was very awesome and definitely enjoyed watching Bo lift this team onto his back. And I can't believe we're up 2-0 against the defending Cup champs.
As far as Bo Horvat goes, I mean, he's playing, out of this world right now. A level we never saw, not even close to seeing before. It's just so encouraging to see that. At some point he's going to cool off. He's not going to be able to keep doing what he's doing forever. But it's just wow. I mean, I don't think anybody expected, to see such a transformation like that. The way he's going around people like it's nothing. Like it's hard to even describe what it is that we're watching there. I think coming into the playoffs, people would have expected, a guy like Elias Pettersson to pick up his game. But Bo Horvat to do what he's doing and so dramatically different than before is quite something to see. My watching of it, I actually had to start it behind on the PVR, so I was on the phone turning off all notifications, just trying to avoid contact with the outside world. I was tipped off that there was a goal taken back on the offside, so it was that was a bit anticlimactic watching that. But, on the JT Miller play there, even he didn't celebrate very much. He kind of had to know that seemed too good to be true. And when he picked up the puck, I was like, boy, he's really far across the blue line by the time that puck's on his stick. I had to wonder about that too. And indeed, it was negated on an offside call, which apparently will not be an offside call next season. So that's a bit of a sour taste in the mouth for some people. But in the end, the Canucks pulled it out with a really awesome effort, and once again, great goaltending from Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah. First off, that first Bo Horvat goal was just like, come on.
Yeah, video game cheat code.
Yeah, it's just I was speechless. I just out completely leaving two St. Louis Blues players like turned around looking for their jocks in the rafters. Like it was just oof. Well, to start the game off with that and then continue on with everything, all the drama. It was just it was just a lot of fun to watch and just stressful and I was angry at times. I had all the emotions last night. I was angry at the refs. I was angry at the Canucks. I was angry at the David Perron. I was happy with how the Canucks battled through it despite not playing their best game. That game had a little bit of everything and all the playoff stress.
And judging by your significant other's comments in the chat, you weren't quiet.
Well, yeah. Well, it was the one that really got her was the giveaway by Alex Edler. Oh no, sorry, Troy Stecher right to Tarasenko in the slot.
Yeah.
And she wasn't quite paying attention, and all she heard was me with a big booming, "What the hell was that?" She's like, "What? What just happened? What?" So I think she was a little more on guard after that for expecting loud noises from me for the rest of the game.
Oh, I'll have to come up with a sound effect for loud noises here. Give me a moment. But Chris, I want to ask you as a person socializing out there. It feels to me, just from where I'm sitting, and I watch the games by myself, admittedly, but it feels like the Canuck fan base is having some fun with this. We used the word house. Tyler used the word house money. There just seems to be a really interesting energy with the fan base in this team right now.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you're on a winning streak. If we were on a losing streak, Canucks Twitter would be at each other like they normally are.
I mean, it seems like a long time ago now, Kevin, but when the return to play started, Canucks lost the exhibition game, shut out in the first game against Minnesota, all kinds of finger pointing, everybody's on the coach, blah, 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 and then now that's just all flushed. Just, like...
Everyone's just sitting on cloud nine right now.
Yeah.
Just enjoying Captain Clutch doing his thing.
It's a little bit of everything. We got to the playoffs, so we're happy. We're enjoying that. Canucks are playing decently well and getting wins. Horvat is just on fire and carrying this team. Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson Hughes is still playing very well and is one of the big reasons why the Canucks are where they are. Pettersson, I still think they need more from him, but he's still producing on the power play and finding ways to help the Canucks win, which is great. So you're getting everything, and then you've got the added bonus of seeing what Jim Benning brought Brandon Sutter in for. Like he's been amazing in that third line role since taking over in Game 2 versus the Wild. You have a little bit of everything, and for the most part, the Canucks fan base is having fun with it and looking and enjoying the games and not trying to call in receipts and dunking on other fans, despite the team actually doing it sometimes.
Yeah, it's going well when fans even like Andrew Walker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's not the most hated human being in Canucks sports, in the Canucks sports media market. Devin is in the chat. Hello, Devin. We will be talking to Devin in a little bit as we will be recapping also the Flames 2-0 win to give them their series lead over the Dallas Stars. And we'll get into that. So I guess for me, after the Bo Horvat goal, I put in the chat message that I felt that this was going to be a short series. Our realist, maybe, Heidi, said that you don't disrespect the champs like that, basically. But where I was at that particular point in time of that game and where I saw it in the series is the Vancouver Canucks, and they do have issues. We will be talking about their issues. I have a couple things to bring up as well. They seem to be up here, and for those that will be listening, a little higher up at my forehead. And the Canucks or the Blues were a little bit down here. I'm under my chin. They didn't look as engaged. They, especially yesterday, they got off to a great start. Then they get the power play, and Bo Horvat scores shorthanded. I think shorthanded goals in the playoffs generally have been known to be killers. But the Blues did fight back. I thought they played their best 2 periods of the 2 games and probably their entire round robin so far, which, by the way, they still have not won a game. So I guess from your eyes, are you seeing short series, long series? Where are you kind of at?
I'm personally kind of feeling Canucks in 6 right now, but that's just me.
I don't see it as a short series, Kevin. The Canucks are on a winning streak here. Not to rain on the parade here, but St. Louis is down 2-0. They got to win the next game. Canucks, how long can they keep this run going? I think Game 3 is the one. If they're going to lose a game here, it's that next one, and then really it's a series again if St. Louis picks up a win. So I don't know. I would be just blown away if this was over in 4 or 5. I don't see that happening.
Although I will say the last time you faced them in the playoffs, it was a sweep.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
Canucks were the heavily favored team at that point, as opposed to this being more of a Blues were favored going in slash coin toss series. I see the Blues taking at least 1 or 2 games here and making it a longer series. I don't see them rolling over and dying the way and having a short series in this. There's too much grit, there's too much leadership, there's too much skill on the Blues to overlook and think it's going to be a short series.
Yeah, and Sammy Blais came back, Alex Steen came back, Tarasenko's getting going. Surely Binnington's going to find his game here at some point. So you put all those things together, St. Louis is going to find it. And we saw that in the third period. I mean, they looked like a championship bunch there, the way they forced overtime late.
And Ryan O'Reilly has that capability of putting the team on his back as well. So I'm just waiting for him to actually kind of get his ass in gear.
Well, to me, I guess if we look back on this one, to me, the first period I felt was the Canucks got off to a mostly good start, but I especially 5-on-5, and I think generally in this series, if it was not for A, Markstrom, and B, Binnington, which is fair, but the special teams big power play difference for the Canucks and the Blues in this series, I think, has been huge. The Canucks 5 for 9. 5-on-5, if the Blues stop taking penalties, they've dominated. They've pretty much been at least at the very least you can say in control. At highest you can say at times dominated the game, especially the last 2 periods of yesterday.
The third period yesterday for sure. Up until then, they had a little more zone time, but the Canucks have been doing a really good job at controlling where the Blues are getting shots from and controlling the play at, and they're limiting the St. Louis Blues to mid low and mid danger chances. They're not giving up the middle of the ice very easily and giving them high danger chances. So I think, in all honesty, I think it's actually closer than what you're making it out to be. But yeah, in terms of controlling the play and controlling the puck, yeah, the Blues have done that more than the Canucks have, especially at times throughout this series. It seems like they've had longer stretches where they control the puck in the offensive zone than the Canucks have. But the Canucks have found a way to, when they do get in the zone, they're pushing into the center of the ice, and they're getting high danger opportunities more often than not.
Are you showing? I'm just looking at a couple of other things as we're doing this. Are you showing stats at this point?
No, I can. I'll pull up the.
We have charts, folks. We're using graphs.
I'll pull up the heat map there, and if you like, yeah, if you look at that, and there's still a lot of stuff. Like if you look at the way the shots and shot attempts were, the Blues had a lot more last night. But you look at that; it's a lot more spread out. Yeah, there's some heat right in front of the net, as you expect from any team at this point, unless you're the Flames. But you look at the Canucks, and that it's always, other than Game 1 versus Minnesota, they've had a very significant amount of shot attempts right in front of the net, and that's fantastic because that means they're driving in the net. They know that's where they can score from. They need to score dirty goals, and they're doing a great job at that.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
No, I'm just looking at the graphs.
Yeah,
just dissecting what I'm seeing here.
And then you look at this is the other one I like to look at, the game flow. Again, everything's from natural stat trick. They're fantastic to with these graphs and everything to show you what we have, to help you see what's going, match up what you're watching and see if it's actually your eye test and the stats are actually matching up. And you look at St. Louis for the first two periods. Yeah, they had a little bit of an advantage, but it wasn't actually that much. And it was only the third period when they really took over in terms of shot attempts on 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's let me just keep going here on this one. And then someone I know on Twitter is really good at putting this into chart form as well, so you can see the 5-on-5 and the power play. Remember, the Blues did have a lot more power play time during last night's game. But I want everyone to look at the score, the expected goals. It's a very complex stat because you don't know what they're making, how they're calculating it. But you look at that, and despite all the shot attempts towards the Canucks nets that St. Louis had, the expected goals based off of the metric that the natural stat trick goes off of, they were pretty even. So 5-on-5, despite giving up a lot of shots, the Canucks were still able to create a lot of opportunities on their end to make it almost a saw-off.
Yeah, I guess for me, looking back, and I guess specifically in the third period, and I understand that the Blues are going to press because they're trailing, but I'm not sure if I guess my eyes are saying it's this chicken and egg argument. Is this the Canucks defense, or is this the Blues putting on the pressure? And I feel like in the third period, I really felt like the Blues were able to take over the game. Yes, Pettersson scored the bunt goal on the power play to make it 3-1 at that time. But Sammy Blais basically walked from West Edmonton Mall outside the Hubble into the bubble, grabbed a coffee, got some cream and sugar or whatever else, went to Markstrom's net and scored. And then you had the Perron, I personally think is a good goal. We can discuss that, but I guess for me there was a bit of a concern, especially blowing a 2-goal lead in the third period. And I'm not sure if that was Blues or Canucks or maybe both.
Both, including I'll preface this. I'll also include the refs in that one because I have some very I'm not happy with how a couple calls went there that led to goals like almost directly within that, and it just like Sammy Blais should not have been in the game. He should not have been in the game. That was a dangerous hit he made on Brandon Sutter that somehow the Canucks ended up with a penalty kill out of, which blows my mind. And then he's still in the game and he goes and he's allowed to score. And they had and I think it was Edler had a high stick that led to the giveaway that allowed Sammy Blais to walk in uncontested. Like it was it's. I'm a lot less livid than I was last night because we have Bo Horvat who stepped up and was able to help them overcome what I thought was absolutely just horrendous officiating in a couple of instances. But it's just it's a little bit of everything, Kevin, in terms of what happened in the third period, and it goes right back to what we said about this being a longer series. Like the Blues have everything that you need to be successful in the playoffs, and you cannot overlook them even for a split second.
Yeah, the correct answer to your question, Kev, is D, all of the above.
Yeah, I have issue with the two infractions there that Sean refers to. I'm more bothered with the missed high stick because that clearly left Edler in a bit of a daze, and then he didn't see where he was passing the puck, and then all of a sudden it's a goal against. The other one's a bit of a tougher one. There's a lot let go in the NHL as far as contact that's ugly around the boards. Sutter wasn't hurt from it. It was dangerous looking. The referee at that end of the ice was across the ice. He had the net and some players in his view. Everything's happening fast. I mean, I'm not in the referee's skates, but presumably he didn't have a very good look at that one. So if he doesn't determine that to be a penalty, and then you have Jay Beagle come in and start a fracas, then obviously the Canucks are going to end up shorthanded, and it's just infuriating to see that from a fan point of view. But you know what? I mean, in every game, there's something like that. It seems like, both hubs, all teams, even in the games against the Canucks. I mean, most of the games going back to the Minnesota series, there's been at least one softie in there the other way that's benefited the Canucks. So, it is what it is, guys. I mean, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So you better get used to it.
The reason why I think the Sammy Blais one is just egregious was that he was looking at numbers the whole way. The ref at center should have seen that too.
Yeah.
That's where it doesn't matter about the ref at the down in the zone. Then how many times have we seen like the ref in the neutral zone make those calls all the time? Like,
I feel like that referee would have had a pretty good sideways look at what was happening there.
Mm-hmm. So like I didn't like the Braden Shen push on Myers. I thought that was dangerous as well. That should be taken out of the game. Those are plays that can end players' careers, end players' seasons because of neck injuries and brutal shoulder injuries. And the fact that they don't call them and feel like they can call all these like ticky-tack slashing calls where you just happen to touch a player's glove. Like I'm sorry. Like it just seems that they just don't understand what is safe and what isn't anymore. And I understand that you want some heat and you want some physical play, but those are dangerous plays that should not be a part of hockey. And I just want them to I just want to see. I want to see physical play, but I want to see clean physical play where it's shoulder on shoulder, shoulder to chest, not shoulder to back or a cross check to the back or a push to the back where you're pushing them into the boards in a dangerous way. It can't happen.
Yeah, I think we underestimate how hard it is at ice level and how fast things are happening for them to make those judgment calls in split seconds. And it comes out looking like they're guessing a little bit out there, but Unless we find a magic pool of referees that are more up to the task of judging these difficult rulings at the speed that they have to judge them, I don't see this changing anytime soon.
Yeah,
I wonder if the NHL is considering fining social media accounts, because the Canucks tweeted after the game the zebra emoji and the angry and cursing emoji. So I'm not sure.
I always point this out.
Fine, but
I always point this out. You don't get fined until you start wading into the integrity of the officiating, and then usually the league drops the hammer.
Fair enough. I was just trying to make light of what happened to Rod Brindamore and then the Canucks Twitter account.
Yeah, well, and Rod, when he mentioned the crime scene thing, that's where he got into trouble.
Yeah.
Although, again, we pointed this out the last time we were together yesterday. I think Rod Brindamore needs to just go on the bench without a shirt on, and I think a lot of things would actually be solved. I think the refs would probably listen to him more. If you saw that body, you're like, oh, you're right.
That'd be pretty scary,
right.
wouldn't it? Oh, man.
Okay, so we have agreed that the answer is D, although we focused on the officiating here. Devin put in the chat, where is Elias Pettersson?
Scoring the third goal.
Yeah, okay.
Devin.
Setting up the second goal.
Devin.
Devin
but
getting shot.
In terms of where Devin's coming from, 5-on-5, that Lala line still is not where we as Canucks fans want them to be, and where the Canucks need them to be for them to make this a sustainable, long playoff run. And the fact that Pettersson is finding ways to produce and not disappear like Johnny Gaudreau is fantastic to see, though. Because
he's a lot of shots at the Flames. I have the sound effect for you, by the way. Okay, I'll play it again. Here, hang on. Yeah, that's we'll play that in time.
But honestly, like I've been watching a lot of the Flames games, and Devin's asking where Elias Pettersson is. Where's Johnny Gaudreau? Petey is still producing points.
Devin is also asking where Johnny Gaudreau is.
You're getting professionally trolled. That's what's happening here. You're biting.
He's finding ways to produce and contribute when he's not at his best. He's not able to put up points 5-on-5, and that's hopefully by the time Bo Horvat cools off, Pettersson's heating up. That's where the Canucks need to really hope that it works out. As you've got your second line, your Bo Horvat, your captain, who's just dominating and taking over games and finding ways to make game changing plays, while your most skilled forward up front is not necessarily dominating like he can, but is still producing. And then hopefully by the time Horvat cools down, Petey's on the rise up and is now dominating at that point. So it's a give and take. You can't have a roster full of players on fire all the time, and you're going to have these players are going to. They're going to have off games and everything from time to time, and especially in these playoffs when you can key on players and have the matchups that you want, especially in these first two games where the St. Louis had last change. They put the O'Reilly line up against Pettersson, and it worked really well, other than them not producing. But they also left Bo Horvat's been absolutely dominating them on 5-on-5. So I wonder, going into games 3 and 4 with the Canucks having last change, what the matchups are going to look like, because if Travis Green can dictate the matchups and give Pettersson a little more room, not facing Ryan O'Reilly every shift, is he going to start producing 5-on-5 and start to show up here? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
This Petey question kind of reminds me a lot of what happened with Best during the regular season. Like, just because he's not on fire and is being this offensive producing guy that we love and hope that he is, he's still doing the right things. He's just not getting the goals.
Oh, and Devin, where's Petey? He's making a save in overtime so the Canucks can win.
There's the other one, yes. I wanted to ask you guys if you caught Alex Petrangelo's comments in the post-game there at the podium, but the first question he was asked was, how do you stop Bo Horvat? And, basically he conceded they were doing a pretty good job of shutting down all the other Canucks top forwards and restricting their space, but not doing that with Horvat. So following up on what Sean said, if they focus more on Horvat, hopefully that means there will be more ice opening up for some of the other Canucks forwards.
Mm-hmm.
This may be a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. Is Bo Horvat around the league underrated?
Yes.
Across the league, I would generally say yes.
Yeah.
He's overshadowed with Pettersson and now Hughes, as well as you think Bo Horvat came into in and played his rookie season in 2014-2015, played pretty well, but was playing mostly third and fourth line minutes, and he's worked his way up the lineup and figured and learned how to play a really well-rounded game. And then the Canucks got all this top end talent. Brock Besser comes in, just starts sniping goals, and is a Calder Trophy nominee. Next season, Elias Pettersson comes in, wins the Calder. Next season, the Canucks bring in Quinn Hughes, and he's a nominee and arguably the best rookie this year. And all this while, Bo Horvat's still playing very well, producing at a very good rate, continuing to improve, but everyone's focusing on the big three. So he's definitely underrated. I don't think people realize. Well, I think people are starting to realize how big of he's also a big time player. Go back through junior and see he was the OHL playoff MVP. I think he put up 4 points in 6 games versus the Flames in 2015, and now look what he's doing this year. He thrives in tough, high pressure situations, and I think people are starting to see how good he is, and why a lot of the experts are saying that the Canucks that he's a big part of the young Canucks core that a lot of people are starting to drool over.
And with Toronto and Edmonton out of the playoff picture now, with their stars, the stage that Horvat is on now is gigantic. I mean, everybody's paying attention to the Canucks now.
That, and especially Bo's performance of these last 2 games and all the headlines and articles that are being written about him now, like, this might be that tide turning. Yeah,
I guess to me, what is striking me is I wonder if going forward to compare, and it's different. I'm going to use this name, but it's completely different. We're almost going to get a Sam Bennett version about Bo Horvat, in that there's going to be a Bo Horvat that will play a certain way in the regular season, but he will up his game in the playoffs. And I think that's probably what we're going to see with Bo Horvat going forward. And I think that people are not going to be – he's a guy that I don't think he's not going to get a lot of attention in the regular season. He plays on the West Coast. Most of NHL.com goes to sleep at 10 Eastern. So sorry if you're out at the East, but I just he's not going to get that big press. But at this time of year, or at playoff time, whenever playoff time is, that's when you will really notice Bo Horvat going forward. And I think that's a good thing. I think that having those type of players are what brings you success. It's not necessarily about winning your division. It's about it. This league is very clearly about preparing for playoffs.
It's a little bit of both. You want to make sure that you're comfortable and not having to fight tooth and nail to get into the playoffs. But if you're gonna, you need to not do what Tampa did last season and just run away with it. Flames as well, run away with it, get comfortable, and then have to fight back up into playing at that level of intensity. And I think you're also seeing that with the round robin teams a little bit this year. They had 3 games of probably more exhibition style intensity, and then they come in and they've got these playoff seasoned teams. Like they've already played 3, 4, 5 games of playoff hockey, and you're at do or die levels, and I think you're seeing that. I think that's game one for Flames for the Flames and Canucks versus Dallas and St. Louis. For sure, I think they had that issue. I think you still had that with other teams as well, but just to a lesser extent. And yeah, I do think that it's part and part. Everything's building towards the playoffs, but you need to build towards it properly, and you need to make sure that you don't just overlook the regular season at times. And I think going into up until this point, I think you could make an argument that the way the Canucks were constructed kind of overlooked the regular season a little bit with being built for the playoffs, because I think they kind of tried to do that, and without building a team to actually score and be deep, have depth scoring to get through the 82 game regular season, or 71 whatever this one was.
Yeah, Vegas, the one exception there. I mean, they did very well in the round robin and up 2-0 against Chicago, the feature game on Hockey Night in Canada this evening. The other one too about teams coming out of the round robin. Well, boy, now Philly's an interesting one because they looked great in the first game against Montreal, then just total dud in game 2, even having to change goalies.
Yeah, and Washington even as well.
Yeah,
they've had their struggles. Colorado had a battle with Arizona, but they're still up 2-0. So, I guess that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, like Colorado and Vegas are looking like Colorado and Vegas, really good.
Yeah, they seem to be a level above everybody else right at this particular point in time, for sure. Tyler Myers got injured. First of all, before we get to Tyler Myers, what was your thought on Quinn Hughes not playing the final 5 minutes of the third period?
Frustrating. He hasn't quite reached the level of comfortable and trust for Travis Green to send him out there to finish off a game in terms of having the lead and all that, and especially when he doesn't have that's all it is right now, is he doesn't quite have the trust from Travis Green especially versus a very, very big and heavy Blues team. Mm-hmm. I think that was part of it for sure. And then it's gonna come, but I would have liked to see him out there, honestly.
It was a bit odd to me, especially since they were already down to 5D with Myers hurt, that he was, was parked on the bench for that long stretch there. But, it has to be a trust thing there for all the points that Sean raised. So now it kind of leads into what do they do for Game 3 if Tyler Myers can't go?
My guess is Levy comes back in, but...
See, I would think you got to go with Jordy Ben.
Yeah. Big, the big physical St. Louis Blues. You want Jordy Ben in there. I think you go. Troy Stecher's played so well during this playoffs. Like you're gonna miss Tyler Myers, but him stepping up and playing the way he has, I don't feel as concerned about it, because I think you can lean on that. The top 4 a little more once if it's because I don't think it's a long-term injury. The way he came off and looked, I don't think it's like a broken collarbone or anything like that. Because I think he would have shown a little bit more like discomfort and frustration. I think it's probably more of a like maybe if he misses a game, it is one game. And I think you can battle through it with a top four of Edler, Stetcher, and Hughes and Tanev as your mainstays, and then you sprinkle in the Fantenberg and Ben pairing every once in a while just to give them a bit of a break.
Yeah, it's well timed that Ben is back, I guess, for the Myers injury. Yeah, for me, I think you go with Jordy Ben at this particular point. He's back. He spent enough time in the bubble. He should be, as far as I know, unless things have changed and we don't know everything that's going on. And very clearly, there could be some other issues that we're not aware of. But it would seem to me that that's Jordy Ben's spot to lose for sure.
He's played the right side in the past and played it well as well. Yeah. So it's not something that otherwise, if it was, because Myers is a right shot, so otherwise if it's not Jordy Ben, as much as I want to see Oli Hulevy, it's not going to be him either. It would be either Rafferty or Chatfield. Just because you want to be like, you don't want to put someone jumping in playing the offside or throw Oscar Fantenberg to the right side as well. The only other option is if you do play Oli Hulevy, you throw Quinn Hughes on the right side. You play him with Edler. You play you play Tanev with Stetcher, and then you've got but do you see where I'm going at there?
Yeah, I don't want to mess around with what they're doing with Hughes there. I mean, you know, I know there's been a lot of creativity there with the coach. He's not just playing Hughes and Tanev together. I mean, Hughes has been playing with other defensemen as well, but you know, you're really messing around with the entire defense that way. I mean, if you could just take Jordy Ben and just plop him in and have him play on the opposite side, I think that's the simplest and safest solution for them to go with. And
he has playoff experience too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And he's big and he's motivated. You know, here's his chance to get back in the lineup and prove himself. And I mean, I think it all makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only question mark I would have is, was he in quarantine long enough since he joined the bubble late because of
apparently he practiced with the team there prior to the last game, so I think he's met all the requirements.
Yeah, I'm fine with that then.
Yeah, he came back, I believe, at the end just before Game 4 versus the Wild, so that was Friday. And I believe he came in like on the Thursday night, so that's Friday. He needs to quarantine for 4 days, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then we're on next Saturday, so he's definitely quarantined long enough and probably skated through some of the non-skating times as well. So I think if Myers can't go, it's as simple as put Jordy Ben in, and your third pair is Oscar Fantenberg and Jordy Ben.
Yeah. Any other lineup changes or anything else about this game that we need to delve into?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Adam Gaudette slide in replacing Jake Virtanen next game.
Yeah, he was put down to the fourth line. Certainly, I thought an interesting point, you know, you brought that up. There was the time that they, in the second period, when they needed to get something going before they got that second goal, they threw McEwen up with Horvat, not Virtanen. My observation on that is if there is trust level 1, trust level 2 right now, Zach McEwen has a higher trust level with Travis Green than Jake Virtanen. And absolutely. I know the Jake Virtanen fan base is going to get upset with us saying that, but the fact of the matter is Zach McEwen has proven time and time again he's willing to put in the effort and he's putting in the trust. And Jake isn't. Just that, it's that simple. He's not.
Yeah. And McEwen's even had a couple of decent scoring chances too. So there's no way he comes out of the lineup.
Yeah,
That
he got into a fight too. I mean,
I was about to say even scrap.
Yeah, it's I know there are the apologists out there, but the eye test and what I'm seeing, I'm just not. I'm sort of seeing it from Travis Green's point of view.
Well, now we're also at that stage of a series where, okay, yeah, there's the old adage about not messing around with a winning lineup. Canucks are up 2-0 in the series, but I still think if you're a coach, you're tempted to mix it up a little bit to throw another curve at the Blues here in a game that they absolutely got to win. So, I'm with Sean. I wouldn't be entirely surprised if there was that one change to the forward group.
And let's not forget Tyler Toffoli, who we don't know where he's at, but if he's ready, he's back in the lineup.
He's playing if he's ready.
Yeah.
Now, let's bring that up and say, if Tyler Toffoli is good to go, where does he play?
I know Travis Green likes playing him with Miller and Pettersson, but I don't know. I mean, can you split up the Lotto line at this point? I mean, you've pointed out, John, they're a little bit quiet, but
the Horvat line, and I think everyone kind of is maligned about Louis Eriksson, how he's despite Horvat and Pearson playing really well and putting up points, Eriksson's not, but he's doing a lot of the little things that are allowing those two to thrive offensively.
Yeah, and Louis had his scoring chances too. He just hasn't finished them.
But I wouldn't take Louis off that line right now, because not only does that line with Louis Eriksson on it, you can play that line against any line now. It's your shutdown line. You can play it against the top lines, especially going into games 3 and 4 where the Canucks have last change. You can put them up against the O'Reilly line and see what they could do.
So your suggestion then would be that Toffoli plays with Sutter and Roussel?
That's what I would do. I would at least try that, because that's Sutter and Roussel have played really well, and you could definitely find a way to create a third line that could cause the other team absolute matchup havoc. Yeah. Toffoli's a one-shot scorer. If you've got a one-shot scorer on your third line, that could be something that could really change the way Craig Berube looks at how he matches up his lines, and I think that'd be fantastic.
Not only that, but
that it gives length to the Canucks lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not only that, it gives winning teams have hot bottom 6 lines. If our bottom 6 are scoring like that, with Toffoli helping them, that will just help us go deeper.
Okay, I'm going to make it just to play devil's advocate here for a moment. If you're being physical with Pettersson, I'm not trying to be old school here, but throwing Toffoli with Pettersson, I think may give Pettersson some room to do he's engaged. I don't think that we're arguing his engagement, but allow him to be more effective 5-on-5. And then your next question is what do you do with Besser? I may throw him in a couple of shifts with on that third line just to see. I mean, I could see during a game, depending on a situation, you put Toffoli and Pettersson together for a few shifts, and you put if you want to go Gaudette and Besser for a few shifts. I can see them kind of playing around with that.
Problem is if Toffoli's in the lineup, Gaudette's not in the lineup.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because you're not taking out McEwen, especially versus the Blues. You need McEwen's size. Yeah, and that fourth line's been at times just very good in terms of creating havoc and on the forecheck, and a big part of that is Zach McEwen.
Yeah,
you're not taking Zach McEwen out, so you're not. If Toffoli's in there, you're not putting in Gaudette, because I think ideally you want if you want a third line that can be a gritty scoring third line with Toffoli on it, Roussel, Gaudette, and Toffoli could be something like that. But Gaudette really struggled in Game 1 versus the Wild at playing center, so I do think that we're going to see him probably play the right wing if Toffoli's not ready to go. And if he is, then Gaudette sits again.
Yeah, the only way both those guys are in is if Louis Eriksson sits, and as we've talked about here, why should he be sitting? I mean, he's been helping, and what a journey for Louis Eriksson. In the last offseason, I mean, him and the coach were feuding. There were some comments in the Swedish media, and then they've made up now, and it seems like the trust factor's back there with Eriksson. I mean, I think he's got to stay in for sure.
Yeah, and you're not.
You could argue that Louis gets an unsung hero award if he keeps this up.
If he could put a puck or two in the net, that would certainly boost the cause.
Yeah. But it's the way he's played, I think, is very unsung and very underrated. If he was making $3 million, like, people would be like they'd be going gaga for him, like they're going gaga for Brandon Sutter now.
Yeah.
The turnaround of Brandon, like, in Canucks fandom, from Brandon Sutter in January to Brandon Sutter now is just insane. It's a full 180. Like, everyone understands why Jim Benning brought in Brandon Sutter. A healthy Brandon Sutter is someone that can really help create a third line that can be gritty and can score. So
the operative word is healthy.
Healthy. And it's all about buying and doing the little things. And I think that's why we're seeing Louis Eriksson up with Bo Horvat, and why Gaudette it was so easy for Travis Green to scratch Gaudette and put Brandon Sutter right back into the middle of the third line. And he made those changes, and boom, we haven't looked back at this point. And like I said, at this point, I think Jake Virtanen's spot is up for grabs, and it's whether or not Toffoli is healthy. We'll see whether or not it's Gaudette or Toffoli sliding in there.
Yeah, to me, the only person that you can take out is Virtanen. You're not taking out Beagle, he's a center. You're not taking out Mott, he kills penalties and does a whole bunch of other different things. You're not taking out Roussel, this is his time of year. You're not taking out Pearson. He is my unsung hero, actually. If I'm going to give that unsung award, it's to Tanner Pearson. No disrespect to Louis, but Tanner Pearson is producing, and I don't think we're talking enough about him overall. You're not taking out JT Miller, so then you're not taking out Zach McEwen. The only option to me is Jake Virtanen at this point.
Yeah.
Did I shut the conversation down?
We're all in agreement, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's leave it there. I think that we've covered this one enough. We will be back to recap the Canucks. And I guess we're doing a recap preview because the Canucks are doing their back-to-back Game 3 Sunday night against the Blues, and then Game 4 Monday versus the Blues. They do the back-to-back. By the way, I will clip this and maybe put it out a little bit later today, but we did have a conversation about the fact there are no Canadian teams playing on a Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada.
I know, that's just bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, under a normal playoff, not to get onto this too far, in a normal playoff with travel and building availability, I get that, sometimes you have the limitations, but they don't have that excuse now, so I don't know. I mean, NBC's getting what they want with Vegas and Chicago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We'll
hey, Kev, I just wanted to say a quick word about Tuukka Rask. The news came out here this morning that he's decided to opt out. He's left the bubble for the Bruins. There's a lot of Twitter heat over that one, but don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Tuukka Rask and his family, so we wish him well. I guess I'm not entirely surprised at that, though. I mean, he came out after the Game 2 loss there to Carolina saying that it felt like an exhibition game without any fans, and kind of gave, I think, a lot of people the impression he wasn't really into it. And here we find out today that he isn't into it and he's leaving. So, hope everything's okay with Tuukka Rask there. We'll see how Jaro Halak steps in and backstops the Bruins. They still got a good team there with him in net. And, is this the end of Tuukka Rask as a Boston Bruin? We'll have to find out later on.
Yeah, I guess the question I had was the timing of it. I mean, you're just doing it. It's announced just before the game 3, so it is weird, but it is what it is. At the end of the first, as we're recording, or if you were watching on Facebook Live, it is scoreless. So obviously, so far, Halak is doing his thing. So we will be back. We're going to be doing a Flames recap here, probably around the point 30 mark. We'll be on for that, so stay tuned for that, and we will answer the question: where is Johnny Gaudreau? That's a terrible shot. There, that's it. So, how do we follow everyone?
I am Beardy Canuck 03.
I'm on Twitter at tnoble, TNOBLE.
I'm on most social media at Schneids.
And Devin is Gordhouse09. He will be back for the Flames. He will be on for the Flames recap. Heidi Amazeballs will be on for the Flames recap as well. I am going to be there as well. KVOLE, podcast_hockey, Facebook.com, The Hockey Podcast, Spreaker.com, The Hockey Podcast. Subscribe on iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thanks for coming on, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.
Okay, long enough break. Oh, need to stretch the legs. Sitting on the couch like this definitely does a number on the knees.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, that's why we moved up to the counter when we to this setup.
Like, I am on the couch just because of this as the backdrop. I'm considering moving to our